This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. Looking for clarity, looking for sanity. Want to know why it's down? Want to know why it's going to go back up? Stay right here. This show is brought to you by my Patreon, patreon.com/unhingedcrypto. The link is down below, and we have this QR code. Charts, podcasts, coaching, and special reports. $15 to get in the door, keeping it low for the down times. Reports can be more. We have politics, economics, the Fed, and we're going to talk about all of that today. What do you do when it goes down? The theory has been DCA in May. Let them smack it, and then at 6 points between now at the end of June, in that time frame, they're going to give you 6 chances to get it. Today could be one of those days. We'll talk about and remind you why you're in crypto and perhaps talk about the one big support point that matters. That's in Solana. That is the elevator live stream. We would encourage you, if you need a roadmap in crypto, to subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if you like the stream, hit that like button. And if you watch the short videos, feel free to comment down below. That's always appreciated to move the stream. And again, as a reminder, I want to extend my gratitude toward Patreon subscribers as they help keep this stream moving. Okay, let's take a moment to welcome who is here. Who is here? Who is here? We have Richard Barry, welcome. Joseph Green, waiting to get involved. Smart. Scott Lawrence turning in for the UK, looking at Solana. Cat D is here. Fuzz Crypto, Noah, Israel, right? Kane is here. Links to the Patreon store and the Patreon in the comments. Bull Runner, Smith from England, Philip, Traveler, looking at Litecoin on the pullback. You want to look at just about anything you can find on a pullback. Future of money. Notice Render is not down today. Last time I looked. Okay. Solana. One day, Solana and Ethereum will have ETFs. The lesson from, say, let's just call it the landscape, okay, is that 12 months from now, just like with the Bitcoin ETF, like 12 months before the Bitcoin ETF, it paid to get long. It pays to get long now, I think. Over the next 2 months, you'll be looking back going, hey, why didn't I do this? Seriously. Okay, I'm diving straight into the news. Let's see if we can welcome anybody else. Art is here. Angela B., Baby Whale, Tybor, Joe Mike, Clue, Traveler, welcome. Rave Song Records. Glad to be on the stream. Glad to have you, sir. Okay, news. Let's go. I'm going to start with something a little bit unusual. This comes from a blog, okay? Coin shares, Bitcoin price dynamics. I want to make a little bit of note on the jobs market. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. The blue line is payrolls added per month. And the black line is hiring intentions. Hiring intentions. So we're expecting a sharp drop in hiring. Interesting, right? Initial jobless claims suddenly spike to the highest number in 9 months. We talked about this yesterday. Larger media reports are trying to tell you that this has to do with bus drivers furloughed over spring break. Fascinating, as Mr. Spock would say. Today, consumer confidence, right, down massively. Michigan consumers' confidence. And this is what's got the market freaked out. Inflation expectations on the part of the consumer are rising, and that does freak out central banks. That does freak out central banks. Now, with that said, people are also selling today because the inflation numbers are next week. Everyone's dealing with the grocery store. It's kind of horrible. It's kind of horrible, right? In Germany, you have industrial production falling out of bed. This is now everywhere. This is going to impact how people feel. And here's my opinion. I do not want to sell crypto based on an old inflation narrative. I don't. Okay. This individual is noting that a country in Asia spent $50 billion defending their currency and they can't do it. Now, currently the dollar is not rising, but it might next week, which is why people are freaking out in crypto today. My opinion on inflation. We're the only country on the planet currently reporting higher than expected inflation. Inflation in many ways can be engineered, particularly at the food level, by regulatory practices, let's call it that. I'm not going to sell crypto on an inflation narrative that's going to disappear as soon as certain policies and people get replaced at the government level. If anything, any of this dropping in consumer sentiment, any of these softening in the labor markets hints at much faster rate cuts later. Is the market trading that right now? No. But in research, you get paid for imagination, not to trade what's going on now, but to trade what's next. Now, just as a little bit of tongue in cheek, did we all buy the local highs again? Maybe we did. Okay. Maybe being bullish yesterday wasn't the greatest thing in the whole world. But again, if you liked Solana at 155, you got to love it at 140. We'll go over the chart. Okay. DCA in May and June is part of what I'm thinking. Now, why are we in crypto? Why are we here? I'm going to show you. Okay. So you have this implosion of consumer sentiment over here. Okay. Actual versus expected. So not only did consumer confidence, was it bad, but it was worse than anyone expected. It was the biggest miss on record. Okay. This is going to impact consumption. It's called demand destruction. It's going to lead to lower rates. Now, just in case you're wondering, just in case that's not good enough, just in case, you're like, why would I want to be my own bank? Why are fiat currencies meh? These are people running towards an electric car company factory in Germany, kind of like a revolt against an electric car factory in Germany. Like, this appears to be real. Like, there is weird stuff out there and it is happening. And again, this is German industrial production. This is the motor of Europe. You have the Bank of England has already announced rate cuts, yet everybody runs in fear of whatever's happening in crypto. Meanwhile, Stand With Crypto sets up for an event in November, right? So that your check mark counts. Your check mark counts. They want your check mark, and they're going to be talking about getting everyone in crypto's check mark all throughout conventions in May, June, and August. I'm sorry, May, July, and August. Catalysts abound. We're selling crypto. JPMorgan, Mastercard, Wells Fargo, banking giants exploring ledger-based settlements for tokenized assets. Could those tokenized assets one day trade on exchanges? Is the goal of investment banks and all brokerage firms to have your Bitcoin, your Solana, and your Ethereum and your security tokens all sitting in the same place? That's not going to happen magically. They're going to have to put a lot of stuff on the blockchain. Billionaire real estate investors expects problems with banks. You've heard of long Bitcoin, short the banks. Here we are. And here's everyone falling over themselves to sell it when this is front page news from May 9th. What are we all doing? What are we doing? Why are we selling? Okay. Why are we selling? The debate on crypto is heating up on the American election campaign. So versus FUD for the last 2 years, all you're going to hear is how great crypto is and how they want your vote. They want your vote. Global inflation and interest rates. How is your country doing? Okay. Now, globally, right, you can look at the United States. I have not tried this yet, right? But supposedly inflation is at 3% and our interest rates are at 5%. Now, we all know inflation is not at 3%, but how long can they keep interest rates up here if there's demand destruction? In other words, how do prices go down? People just walk away. Supposedly Gen Z thinks a splurge, like a consumer discretionary item, used to be a TV. Now it's groceries. Is that unfortunate? Yes. Will algorithms sell on an inflation number next week? Yes. Could next week be the final bad inflation number? Yes. Yeah, it could be. Because demand destruction is everywhere. You just have to look. And no one's looking today, right? Are US and Euro inflation pressures parting ways? Okay. US prices and European prices are diverging. Why? That's the question he's not asking. Why? Right? Is inflation an engineered phenomenon in this country? Consumer sentiment 6 months low on a renewed fear of inflation outlook. Okay. Again, the Fed takes these things seriously. They're going to sell off this. What should the bank in Asia do with its huge stock portfolio? So central banks been printing. They've been buying up assets to the point where they don't know what to do with them. And I ask you something about the integrity of legacy when central banks have to hoover up stocks to push money into the market and then have it not work. It didn't work. It just didn't. It absolutely did not work. Okay. Now, a lot of people giving up on Ethereum. Analyst warns Ethereum is not able to go up without Bitcoin. That's probably true. However, a year from now, you are going to have an Ethereum ETF. I didn't think it was a big deal. Now I kind of do. And I think based on what was said yesterday by someone who is running for office, who happens to own Ethereum from his NFT collections, I think we're going to have an Ethereum ETF eventually. Right? And you were paid to buy it well in advance, and look at them falling all over themselves to sell it today. Bitcoin options traders bet price could surpass all-time high by the end of June. Wait a minute. You mean you think there's someone else out there that thinks the Fed could have to make an abrupt pivot because of, I don't know, inflation is recognized as something that it's got nowhere to go but down. Maybe that's not true. But it is maybe true that there could be a problem with all the institutions that have had to tolerate what I think are artificially higher rates, and that includes governments. So again, everyone's falling all over themselves to sell crypto. I don't understand why you would not be in a DCA mentality when it comes to crypto. Okay. DC Precise is here. Pancakes and Peanut Butter says, yes, this is freaking him out. Don't Ask 6 from Oklahoma. Baby Whale says DCA Friday. Daniel J says, why sell? Routine Cheese, keep calm and accumulate. By the way, normally Saturday has been a good day in crypto. Sometimes they run afraid of the dollar versus the yen on Sunday. We'll see. Okay, Routine Cheese says Starbucks stock fell off a cliff. Shopify guiding a weak third quarter. as the consumer weakens. People, the consumer is going to walk away from summer. Public parks and Netflix. Welcome back to the 70s. I'm serious. They're going to just walk away. And then everyone's going to look at the numbers and go, oh my God, why are rates at 5%? Okay. It's like buy the fears and sell the news. That's from Clue. Welcome to the show. Steve Mesa is right on time. Blockchain Crusader in the house. Welcome. Crypto Crazy is also here. Okay. We're going to go to PowerPoint, and then you're going to have the opportunity to watch me kind of figure this market out on the fly. Okay. Now, Bank of England signals summer rate cuts. I signaled this yesterday. They actually came out of a recession today. Frankly, good for them. I wish nothing but the best for our friends in the UK and all over the world, right? These people have suffered. Rates are too high, period. They're just too high. Now, Bitcoin. So on a short-term chart of Bitcoin, it's a range between 64 and 60, and everybody got caught yesterday. Okay, that probably includes me, but they sold it down to the bottom end of the range, and people are going to be like, at 64, it was going to 72, and at 60, it's going to 50, and I don't agree with either one of them unless algos really lose their mind next week. Grabbing these things when they're down is the way to think, even though I know you want to do what I've been doing and FOMOing in and watch it go, because that's what worked the last 6 months. This is just the opposite. If you're buying strength, you're probably falling into the hands of basically of traders, which in some ways, you know, they prey on people trading on emotion, right? I don't think it's going to matter long term whether you pay 150 or 143 for Solana. We'll get to that in a second. So on an 89-minute chart of Solana, I know this doesn't have a shelf life, but there's support between 148 and 147. Doge, as one former colleague said, how many times is the market going to give you an opportunity to accumulate something like Doge that can become money? Crypto as money. It's the first stream you've been on. Crypto as money. Crypto as tech. Did you know that the big 7 tech stocks together are worth 12 trillion? 12 trillion. Of course, their cash flow is incredible, right? They're machines, but it's worth 12 trillion. Okay. What's crypto worth? 2.5 trillion. How long is the market going to give you an opportunity to get something like Doge, which could be making a head and shoulders bottom, right? 3 attempts to make the market go lower. And that neckline is very interesting. So at the end of the month, you know, consensus conference here in Austin, you know, Elon shows up and says, we're taking, or Elon says, we're taking Doge for Teslas. It's coming. It's got to be. If you have prices of electric cars falling, the only way to solve that is to sell the cars in exchange for a currency that can appreciate. Doge to $1. If Doge is at $1, where's the rest of the market? Think about it. Solana versus Bitcoin. We talked about this yesterday. Solana in 2022 versus Bitcoin dropped, sat for a while, and then collapsed. This feels like the opposite. Solana breaks out versus Bitcoin, consolidates, and then eventually goes. Solana is a phone company. Yes, memes are involved, but it's also a phone company, and Solana is a way for a little guy to on-ramp into crypto. Silver on a 2-week chart. Silver can go up only to 50. All right, now what I want to do is move straight to live TA. Okay, nope, not that one. This one. Okay, right here. Okay, live TA, let's go. Okay, this is Solana on a daily chart. Okay, this is Solana at 21 back in October. I'm pretty sure if you extend this trend line all the way out with touch points here and here and just extend it out, they've tried to run stops below this trend line a couple of different times. And right now, honestly, Solana is holding above the trend line at 143. And you know what? I don't necessarily want to give up. I don't. If anything, to me, it feels like an opportunity. It does. Because, like I said, where's it going to be in 3 months? Where's it going to be in 6 months? Where's it going to be in 12 months? Now, also what's happening, discussed yesterday. The market goes down and people get depressed. People get scarred. People don't want to play. The people who are still left, every time they see it go down, I call it the spoon experience. It's actually another utensil, but I'll let you figure that out, right? Every time that spoon drops, you're like, it's the spoon experience, right? It feels like it's going to zero. I mean, it happened to me this morning. I'm trying to get the stream ready, and all of a sudden, somebody says, oh, Bitcoin's down 4%. Okay. Bitcoin's down 4%. How is getting upset going to help you? It's not. It isn't. Okay. So when we look at Bitcoin, again, going to be figuring this out live. So I have touch points for this outside the box trend line. Sometimes this is what I do just to try to get a sense of what's going on, to see if there are support points that I can't see. I don't know. That gives me 59.5 on a final puke down. Now, if the inflation numbers are bad next week, algos will sell. You know what? I'm not giving them my crypto below 60K. I'm just not. Right. And I know that makes life difficult on people, particularly if you're holding bags that are not doing well. Somebody asked in my Patreon group about Avalanche. Okay. So good news. Okay. Actually, I want to look at this going back. So let's go to a 2-day chart. And again, what you're watching here, this is the live TA process. You're literally watching me figure it out on the fly, obviously in a quicker, more entertaining fashion. So here's a little note about Avalanche. This is August of 2022. So what this market is currently telling us, this was right before kind of the end where, FTX blew up. So Avalanche, with a security token functionality on its C chain, is currently back to where it was in 2022. So what has happened net in Avalanche over the last 2 years? Nothing. Nothing. And everyone's like, oh my God, the cycle's over. Oh my God, this cycle hasn't started yet. I mean, yes, this was amazing, and then unfortunate. But again, the market was repricing itself, and then it repriced itself back to FTX levels. I mean, I can't come up with a reason to sell Avalanche below 33, below FTX levels. I mean, what rationale for that is there? I don't know. There doesn't feel like there is one to me. Now, if we head on over, right? If we head on over to, say, the more speculative assets, okay? KP3R from Joe Mike. Let me throw that out there. KP3R. Wow, let's look at it. Wow, volatile stuff, huh? All right. Now, a couple things about this. It's tough to figure out what exactly this is here. I think what I would draw on it to think positive is a square. Square consolidations can be constructive. Okay. Now, what this market likes to do is run stops. Like, look at that. This is, and I've seen this a lot, this is the July 2023 high. Now, whatever this is, do you want to sell it where it was a year ago? And everyone is telling me that this market is overbaked, no good, can't rally, etc. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Okay, One Nissan wants me to look at AKT. Let's take a look at it. Wow. So just as a reminder, there's always a bull market somewhere. This is actually moving. Okay, note how interesting it was. This is an important lesson. How much time this thing spent not only below the 32% retracement, the 38% retracement, but it almost got down to the 62%. But look how long it sat down here, right? I mean, this is 2 weeks. And it was down here recently. And look what they were doing with this thing before they ramped it. I mean, you had 3 days of down only before this thing popped. So this is a very good time to remind you that even though the market looks horrible and the inflation numbers next week scare people. People, if you're going to make money, you're going to make long-term money in crypto, you're going to have to take some heat. Now, that's not an excuse for bad risk management. If you bought the high and you know you're in a bad trade, you know, I just had to do some of that myself recently. I had to say, okay, I'm stopped. But I got powder and I'm coming back in. You're going to have to take heat in this market because if the 12 to 24 month rally that's going to come starting with the political conventions and what I think are going to be an admission that interest rates are way too high. Again, there is a report detailing this in Patreon that in the store, that a total of 9, in my opinion, smart people have purchased. Check this out about the catalysts that are coming. Point with this is you had to take some heat. You had to take some heat. Joe Mike says, no pain, no gain. Dragon Jones in the house. Spotter Inc. is here. Routine Cheese wants me to look at UMA. I think I saw the graph moving at some point. Okay, so wow, interesting. Okay. So again, kind of an example. Probably this was more appropriate. I mean, it's too late now, but this provides a good example. So this was the December 2023 high. That was the takeoff point. And then it came back down here and look what it did. Look how many days it sat down here. You know, I'm not trying to like, you know, overstate a point, but this is like 3 weeks. And then you got the pop. So you may have to put up with this thing in things that you believe in, and it's not real easy to watch it. Okay, this is seam. Okay, this is a diamond formation, okay, which seam has broken out from. Now, seam is down today, but the upside target is $9.70. I mean, you know, I don't mind this. And something else that I keep looking at, which, man, they just keep slamming it on me, is PAL, right? Like, either there's something wrong with this coin or there's something wrong with me. I don't know, but I keep looking at some of these AI coins and I keep looking how they're smashing them. And there's either something wrong with them or they're giving you a huge opportunity because they just keep shaking you out, right? Like Powell was down here at the 62% retracement for days, right? Couple of weeks. And they're doing it to you again, right? It was like it rallied. And then, there were these like shooting star candlesticks. I mean, people, this is volatility that makes you want to quit. Like, you want to see what like I want to quit looks like? This is it, right? So down only, can't rally. Screams higher, double tops, and then they drop it once, and then they drop it twice. Okay? They got you out, they got you out, they got you out. Every single thing that goes on in this market feels like, I don't think it's designed this way, but this thing is going to try to shake you out, I don't know, for potentially weeks. And other than basic risk management, here's the diamond in Solana staking protocol. This coin loves to go up when everything's down, and when everything's up, this thing goes down. 380 to 650. It's a diamond, right? Why are we selling a Solana staking protocol? Why are we all bearish? Because of the inflation numbers next week. Demand destruction is bigger than that. Okay, now something I want to look at just for laughs when it's down. Let's see if we can figure something out in Popcat. Just to see. Okay, so let's start. This is an 89-minute chart of Popcat. Okay, so very interesting. Now, how do I look at these meme coins? I look at these meme coins as highly leveraged Solana. So, you can trade cat coins at your own risk. I understand there's a cat coin, Michi, that did like a 70x. That's good. That's good if you caught it. In these things, I like to watch them to see if they hold, because then I can start pouring into Solana. WIF. Okay, WIF has faked you out a couple times on hidden pivot, so I'm getting rid of it. Let's go to a daily chart to see if we can find anything. Now, naturally, you do have to be somewhat concerned of any type of head and shoulders top forming here. Although that doesn't feel like what this is, right? Shoulder, head, shoulder. Okay, it can be this. Now, a word on triangles. Flat bottom triangles, and I don't know if this qualifies, although it could, are not constructive. They're not. So I'm just being straight with you. So I know this sounds funny, but for the sake of the Solana crowd, we're kind of cheering more for a standard flag. And one guy on Twitter did say, you can't say a 40% pullback is the end of a cycle. I don't think it is. Does that mean you want to catch the falling spoon in these meme coins? Maybe. Maybe. Okay, I started looking at DGen again. Okay, let's talk about DGen. It is highly possible, just conceptually, that this puke here was actually the end of the correction. The end of the correction. And this you're seeing here could be some kind of a base. Something where people can earn money for doing content appeals to me. And I don't know if you've heard about the blockathon or something that's going on a social media platform where the little guy is like blocking or unfollowing the big guy, famous celebrities. I like grassroots stuff. I like it. You know what? And again, DGen has gotten destroyed. Basically, it lost half of its value from when I first started buying it. Thank God I used the stop loss. But again, I'm looking at this and I'm going, do I think this is going to make a new low, or is this the knife experience? Well, I guess we'll find out on the inflation numbers next week. But what I don't want, I absolutely do not want, is people running in fear. There's risk management, and then there's running in fear. Okay. Yes, I do like Ondo. Shepdog, appreciate that name. Okay. It's formed a diamond. Okay. I think I do the 4-hour chart. Okay. This thing broke out close to the apex. You know, I'm not sure if you're drawing it like this. If you are, it's even more bullish, because if it breaks out, I mean, obviously it has to, if this is the draw, if this is how we're drawing it, it's got to break out to the upside. You know, if you draw it differently, you know, like this, it's already broken out. That's one way to do it. Boy, that would be hugely bullish, especially would be at the apex. And as you can see, there is more than one way to draw these things. But if this is the structure, then you want to say anything below 80 cents, because when it happens near the apex of the triangle, it can be like enormously bullish. So, you know, I know it's hard to look at, but when the market is red, that's when you get involved. That's when you get involved. Now, if you're fully invested and you got to move stuff around, or if you just got to take the pain. I mean, everyone's taking pain. I'm taking pain. You're taking pain, right? We're going to listen to this inflation booga for, I don't know. We might be listening to it for 2 months. The second they deregulate the agricultural sector, the second they stop indiscriminately handing out money in fiscal policy, rates are going back to 3%. You're going to have a persistent debt problem, rates down, a different regulatory regime, most likely, and 3% interest rates. It doesn't get any better than that for gold, silver, and metals. Gold, silver, and crypto. Okay. Cathargo is here. Welcome. Manuel likes the show, talking about the bull market that is to come. And the best day to do that is when it's down. Okay. You know, Filecoin. 4-hour chart of Filecoin. What is this? Is that a consolidation to go lower? Or is that just a giant base? Okay. When I look at the chart, like when I get the daily chart out, I got 2 big trend lines in Filecoin. Okay. And I understand there's kind of like a digital cloud sharing, like digital DPIN going on with Filecoin. Why is everyone selling Filecoin on top of these big trend lines? I mean, look at them just hammer. If Filecoin ever did this, you'd be like, wow, like Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin was below 20K for 6 months. You had 6 months to do it. And no one did it because it just lulled everybody to sleep. And that's what the market's doing right now. You know what the market's doing right now? It's teaching you that every time the market goes up, you shouldn't believe it. You shouldn't be bullish. I did a short video. I can only imagine the hate that I'm getting. I did it last night. It's called Stop Being Bearish. Manage risk. Be mindful of DCA. Acknowledge that it can go down. It can. Stop being bearish. Don't be a late stage bear. It's the most hated creature in crypto. Somewhere in here, there's got to be an opportunity. There's got to be an opportunity. And that the whole thing could be an opportunity. I mean, Ethereum boggles my mind. Some guy comes out on the tape yesterday. If there's a new regulatory regime in the United States, you're going to have an Ethereum ETF, and look at the candle today. It's just down only. It's incredible. The whole rally, like the whole ramp in Ethereum started right there at that candle. And look how many times they have tried to push ETH through this 2,900 level. They just keep doing it, right? And, you know, traders call it a reclaim. You know, they go, well, it goes up, then it goes down, and then it scares everybody, and then it comes back up. You know, don't doubt that they can't do something like this next week where they scare everybody. They've been doing it in ETH for a while. There's going to be an Ethereum ETF a year from now. There's going to be. I mean, unless we have like a shocking continuation of the current regulatory and political regime. Okay. IOTX. By the way, anything that's a layer 2 on Bitcoin, anything that's a layer 2 period, that includes base, is of interest to me. Okay, so you went down, you had a wick in IOTX down to the 62% retracement. I don't know that you have to go back and retest that. I don't. Sometimes that's what happens. Obviously, for the sake of anybody who owns IOTX, we would not want that to happen, but the key level is 0.043. Okay. All right. All right. So Carol coming from Washington State. Welcome to our friends up north. All right. Let's wrap this up. Stop being bearish. My father used to say this to me. I understand that the market can go down. I understand that people are going to freak out about inflation. I understand that algos are going to trade the numbers at face value if they're worse than expected. However, I also believe that inflation is engineered and that there are people out there that would like you to be unhappy. Really. Some sort of strange agenda. How does that agenda go away? Well, you know, there's a couple different ways. The green button is one of them. Now, today is a red day, and that's when you think about the green button. That's when you remind yourself about why you're in crypto. Not just that, but all the different things that crypto can do. The top tech firms in the United States are worth $12 trillion. Now, they make a lot of money, so that's not an that's a justifiable number. But what's next? I want you to think about what's next. I'm your host, Bill Noble. Patreon link down below. Like button on the way out. We'll see you Monday.